Today we're going to look at the story of Jacob from the book of Genesis in the Old Testament. I like Jacob. For me, he's the first great character in the Bible. Abraham's okay, but he's a bit boring, really. He generally just does what he's told. And Isaac, too, is rather one-dimensional. We don't learn much about him as a man. But Jacob comes across as a real human being, the real deal. If you're an actor, and I know you've plenty of actors here, you've got a strong dramatic tradition in the church. If you're an actor, Jacob is the part you want. He's got light and shade, plenty to get your teeth into. He's got depth. He's a deeply flawed character, like most of us. He messes up, like most of us. And so we can relate to him, and we can learn from him. But to understand the passage we're going to look at, we need to sketch in a bit of the background first. Jacob had a difficult start in life. His mother, Rebekah, was infertile for nearly 20 years. Just as she and Isaac, her husband, were giving up hope, she became pregnant with twins. It wasn't an easy pregnancy. The twins seemed to be fighting one another even in the womb. And when they delivered, Esau came out first, the firstborn, closely followed by Jacob, who came out holding on to Esau's heel. And that's how he got his name. Jacob means grabber. Grabber Jacob. And that became the keynote of his life. And the two brothers, Jacob and Esau, were very different. Esau was the outdoor type, a big, hairy man, extrovert, loved hunting, daddy's son. Jacob was the quiet, introverted, stay-at-home type. Bit of a mummy's boy, but he was scheming, plotting, planning all the time. And as a young man, he took his brother's birthright, the special inheritance reserved for the firstborn. You remember Esau comes in hungry from a day's hunting, and Jacob's at the stove cooking the food, and Esau demands to be fed, and Jacob said, "All right, if you sell me your birthright in exchange for food." And Esau does. He swears an oath to make it binding. He said he was starving and about to die from hunger, so it didn't really matter. Not the sharpest tool in the box, wasn't Esau? But it did matter. And later, when their father Isaac's getting old and his sight is failing, he wants to give to Esau, as the firstborn, his patriarchal blessing, the right to be head of the family, to lead the next generation. But Jacob wants that. He thinks he'd do a better job of it. And his mum, Rebekah, wants Jacob to have it also. So they conspire together to dress Jacob up like Esau, with animal skins on his hands and neck to make him feel hairy, just as Esau was. And disguised Jacob goes in to poor blind Isaac to receive the blessing meant for Esau. And even then, Isaac senses there's something not quite right here. There's something in Jacob's voice that threatens to give him away. And Isaac says, "Are you really my son Esau?" And Jacob puts on his best Esau voice and says, "Yes, I am, Dad." He lies. And he gets the blessing meant for Esau. And that's Jacob. Always taking advantage of someone else's weakness. Esau in his hunger. Isaac old and nearly blind. Nothing stood in Jacob's way. The grabber of heels has become a heel, literally. One commentator describes Jacob as the kind of man who could enter a revolving door behind you and come out ahead of you. And the revolving door won't be invented for another 4,000 years, but we know exactly what that means. A schemer, a con man, a fraud. So he has the inheritance, and he has the blessing. But there's a price to pay. There always is when lies are told. The family is ripped apart. Esau is threatening to kill Jacob. And terrified, Rebekah sends Jacob away. Sends him to live with her brother far away in Haran, her brother Laban, just to get him out of harm's way for a while. And this is a low point for Jacob. He's got what he wanted, but his family's shattered, and he's running away. And on his way to Haran, he has a vision in the night at Bethel, a vision of a stairway to heaven, Jacob's ladder, and a vision of God who promises to be with him always and protect him and give him success and bring him back to Canaan in time. And Jacob's deeply moved by that. Who wouldn't be? But he doesn't change. And he makes a solemn vow. If God will be with me, and if God will watch over me and give me food to eat and clothes to wear so I can come home safely, then the Lord will be my God. Which sounds good, doesn't it? Except for one tiny thing. Did you spot it? That little if. If God will do all these things for me, then I'll serve him. If. Same old Jacob. Always making deals. And sometimes we do that too, perhaps subconsciously. Lord, if you get me out of this mess, if you help me, I'll be a better person. I'll go to church more often. If you help me. Trying to make a deal with God. And it can't be done. It doesn't work. So Jacob rocks up in Haran and he works for Uncle Laban for 20 years. Now Laban is just as big a rogue as Jacob is. He cheats Jacob on his wages and he cheats him in his love life too. Jacob's deeply in love with Laban's younger daughter, Rachel, but he gets tricked into marrying his older daughter, Leah. Look it up when you get home, Genesis 29, we haven't got time. So Jacob's time with Laban is a school of hard knocks. And it all underpins his belief that if you want to get ahead, you've got to be ruthless. And Jacob makes a deal with Laban about getting a share of the farm's livestock. Laban agrees and then tries to trick Jacob out of his share. Of course he does. But Jacob's a better trickster. And he counter-tricks Laban and comes out on top, just as God promised. And in time, Laban's own sons come to their father and say, Jacob's taken everything. He's got all our family's wealth. And as the Bible dryly puts it, Jacob noticed that Laban's attitude to him was not what it had been. Uh-oh, time to go, Jacob. So Jacob sets off for home. On his way to Haran so long ago, Jacob was afraid and worried, leaving his homeland behind. Now he's coming back super confident. He's a family. He's got 2 wives because he got Rachel as well as Leah in the end. 11 children. He's rich and he's flushed with success in his victory over Laban. Just what God promised him at Bethel so long ago. But there's an old saying, God comforts the disturbed and disturbs the comfortable. God comforts the disturbed and disturbs the comfortable. And Jacob hasn't changed one bit. And there's still unfinished business with his brother Esau that has to be revisited and resolved before he can go home. Let's hear the next part of the story from Genesis chapter 32.